Lesson 3, rebreathing. Panic attacks. Stress goes beyond unhealthy and turns into an unchecked, anxiety-driven sympathetic nervous system gone haywire hyperventilation response. Hyperventilation can occur on its own, independent from a panic attack too. For example, someone crossing a bridge with a fear of heights, or someone hearing a loud boom who got blown up overseas. There are some key body warning signs that you need to practice rebreathing. Some of them are similar to other medical conditions though, which makes it scary. So when this happens, definitely seek medical attention if needed. What we're going to go over in this is why do you need to rebreathe. It's complicated, but the solution is easy. What you need is basically a paper bag, but I'll get into some other ideas. Some warning signs that you're going to need to pay attention to, and basically in that you want to listen to your body, but pay attention. And then turn towards the stress. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm going to go into a story about the wolves within and the concepts of acknowledge, accept, and act. If you hear a voice within you say you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced. Victor Van Gogh, who is a very famous painter, he did the starry sky, the night sky. He did paintings of himself. And you should definitely check out his work if you don't know who Vincent Van Gogh is, although he's pretty darn famous. So why do I need to rebreathe? When you perceive stress as an intense fear, it can cause this massive cascade. And oftentimes it's actually triggered by a deep-seated fear of abandonment, and it can also be triggered by flashbacks. The amygdala, which is the fear center of the brain, along with other parts of the brain, gets super activated. When our defense mechanisms malfunction, this may result in an over-exaggeration of the threat, leading to increased anxiety and, in extreme cases, panic. The body thinks it needs to prepare for fight or flight. And the thing about the rebreathing tactic is that usually it's hard to recognize that you need to do it. Your attention is so focused on the anxiety or panic that you don't even notice what your body is doing. And by developing mindfulness of what the signs for you are, you'll know when and how to use this technique. Why do I need to rebreathe again? So I just want to do a special note is that shortness of breath is a big trigger here to notice. And shortness of breath can go along with many other medical conditions. So if you suffer from asthma or other breathing disorders, treat that first. And it can take sometimes a medical professional exam to know the difference between anxiety, hyperventilation, and something else. And it's often easier for another person to see this in you, in my experience from what I've seen and treated. And as a medical professional, they should be able to tell during that history and exam. So go to the ER if you need to. Panic attacks may be hard to tell yourself. And again, it's easier to see sometimes in other people. And I see this, so I know how to treat this. And I have all the tools and testing in the emergency room to take care of this. But however, if you know that you happen to hyperventilate in response to stress, or you know someone who does this, you now know how to help at the end of this lesson. So back to hyperventilation caused by stress, when you've basically narrowed it down to what is going on, and this is a stress response that is causing hyperventilation. This is a kind of complex chart, which is actually, you only need to know one thing. You are going into a state of acute respiratory alkalosis, which is on the right-hand side there. What you do when you hyperventilate is you are breathing really fast. You're taking in a whole lot of oxygen and you're breathing out all of your carbon dioxide. Typically, you breathe in and out pretty slowly and there's an even balance. But when you breathe in very, very quickly, you're not able to breathe out that carbon dioxide, and it causes a lot of chemistry changes, including a pH of your blood, which this is on the bottom there. What you'll see is arterial blood pH, or the acidity or the basicness of your blood kind of goes left or right. And then as you move to the right, it gets more basic or alkaline. And what you're doing is, and that's what hyperventilation is doing when you have that stress response. What this does is it gets your body ready to run. You have more oxygen in your tissues ready to sprint away from any kind of threat. And your body thinks that it needs to get ready to run. So that's what it's going to do. Again, what this does is it pumps lots of oxygen into your body. and then you get too little carbon dioxide, you're upsetting the balance. You go into that alkaline state, your pH goes up, and your chemistry changes very quickly in response to anything respiratory or breathing. What do you want to do when you recognize, like, oh my gosh, I think I'm getting into the state where I might start needing a paper bag, but I can't have one? What you want to do is consciously try to slow it down. And you can do this. I have helped people through this. You just need to slow it down. Slow it down. You might notice you could even hold your breath. You may not, this may feel uncomfortable, but the fact is that if you did hold your breath, you might notice you could actually hold it on for an extremely long period of time, way longer than you might have expected because you're super oxygenated. Another way to slow your breathing down is to really just do nose breathing only. Trying nose breathing only can be a calming technique when stress hits. The nose is designed entirely for breathing the air and smelling the air, so taking in that air in a nice calm way. The mouth is designed more for eating, and then really that rapid air exchange. It has a lot more volume to it so that stuff can come in and out a lot quicker, including air. And studies show that whenever you predominantly mouth breathe, that's associated with general poorer health, and selectively breathing through your mouth actually does change the oxygen delivery to the brain. One technique two techniques really that you can try with nose breathing is one called pranayama yogic breathing, which if you're interested in learning more about that, it involves not only nose breathing, but I believe other forms of breathing too. But another one is simply called alternate nostril breathing. And I guess it's kind of done with the side of the finger instead of pinching, but the side of the finger. So that usually creates a more gentle pressure on the nostril so that you can use one nostril and then the other. And then basics of this, just the bread and butter, obviously, of this lesson is rebreathing into a paper bag. The function that paper bag serves is that it holds that carbon dioxide for you. So as you're breathing out, you're expelling carbon dioxide or the waste products of the metabolism of your body. So what you do is you're exhaling that into that bag, and it kind of holds it for you. Not only that, but the sound and the crinkle can make you be more aware of the rapidity of your breathing. In the ER, we don't actually use this so much. We actually put a non-rebreather on the face and just don't hook it up to oxygen. And that works pretty well because, again, really what you need to do is be mindful of your breathing. So long as you can be mindful that you're breathing way too fast, you actually don't really need the paper bag. All you have to do is slow it down. And again, if you need this method, if you have gotten to the point, you need to discuss this with your mental health provider. This is an emergency fix with a paper bag, but it's not always the best option. And what you don't want to become dependent on this, but it's just here I wanted to include it so that you know that it's an option in cases of extreme emergencies. If your stress is this bad, it requires more than just the techniques in this course. You need to go out there and seek help. What are some warning signs of panic? One thing that I see very regularly, and in young people who have no other medical symptoms, they just suddenly feel like they're going to die. This is obviously very scary and very understandable that you would want to go to the emergency room because you have an intense, very real, very vivid sense that you are about to die. This usually goes into some symptoms of hyperventilation, which you're probably not aware of because you're too busy worried about dying. So some of these symptoms are things like chest pain, chest tightness, a feeling that you can't breathe, or shortness of breath. This leads to tingling because of those chemistry changes that are happening in the body. And then that can lead to your hands cramping. So people will say suddenly, that's sometimes the first way they notice that they're hyperventilating is my hands are tingling and I can't use them. And that of course frightens people even more because oftentimes they don't know what's happening. But now you know, so you can help somebody if you see them going through this. People often get lightheaded because they're super oxygenating their blood and throwing off that body chemistry. Here's one way to try this out in a controlled environment to understand the body sensations of hyperventilation. Wim Hof, I've mentioned during the cold shower lesson, he has an app where there's a free lesson on a guided respiratory alkalosis breathing technique. And this is where you can experience those body effects of hyperventilation and see if this is something that you maybe have felt in the in the past, or perhaps you know somebody who suffers from this, and maybe you want to empathize or have more compassion for what they are going through. So I would recommend trying to go through this technique and just seeing what it feels like, because it is very, very real. There is the mind effect of it, but then the breathing has true effects on the body. And the idea of doing this in a controlled environment is that you better are able to regulate that sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, but without that overlay of the panic on top of it. When this happens, that you have found yourself to a very, very critical place of stress, I hope that what this does, once it's all said and done, is you can find the message and the meaning and what this intense stress is doing to you, what you can do about it, and how to look at it. The thing about stress and processing all of this is that it's a journey, and there is always a lesson in any hardship. Stress is not easy and it's not going anywhere, but there is a way through it, and just recognizing it and be mindful of it. So there's an old Cherokee teaching where it's a story about a Cherokee teaching his grandson about life. And he says, "A fight is going on inside of me," he says to the boy. "It is a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One is evil, that he is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego." He continued, "The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith." The same fight is going on inside you and inside every other person too. The grandson thought about it for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf will win?" The grandfather responds, "The wolf you feed." The good wolf and the bad wolf, or the angry wolf and the peaceful wolf, they coexist inside of you. Because you have an angry wolf in you does not mean that you deny that angry wolf. You just end up in a battle with yourself. That wolf is a part of you. You just pay attention to the angry wolf. That's the idea here. You pay attention to it, you're mindful of it, and you let go of believing you have all the answers on how to control this angry wolf. Once you're able to do that, the angry wolf is no longer an enemy, and it slowly begins to lose their power over you because you're relaxing your grip on that, and you're no longer have this agenda about controlling what is truly a wolf battling inside of you. Being mindful of this choice between the two wolves, with that, you can strengthen what you will bring into action and what you will let go of so that it no longer has that power over you. The next steps after this are going along with acknowledging that struggle that you've been through and acknowledging what the stress is that is doing to you that gets you out of control. And where is it that you're trying to maintain that control that you're now out of control? You're acknowledging that something is off. You need to do something about it. And the fact is you're here, you're taking this course. And so you've taken a big step into not only acknowledging it, but accepting it. What you need to do with the acceptance, though, is a full embracing with no reservations that your stress is here and that you are responsible for it for the rest of your life. It is that angry wolf that will be sitting with you, and if you fight it, you will always be fighting a never-ending battle. But when you're mindful of it and you can pay attention to it and you can feed that other wolf, that is the wolf that will win. And in the end, you're going to take action. You're going to take steps to feed that peaceful, that joyful wolf. You've been taking action. You've been taking this course. So keep that momentum. Keep that inertia of change and move straight ahead and continue feeding that battle inside of you towards good. So take what you've learned here. Take the insights that you've learned on this journey and any insights on this and this personal stress journey, and continue to empower yourself with the skills and continue to develop that knowledge to truly transform your life and take those big leaps forward to the new, better, improved you that is capable of all of the dreams and all of the things that you want to accomplish. So what did we talk about in this lesson? We talked about rebreathing and why it's a problem. There's too much sympathetic nervous system, too much fear going on. It is just running rampant, and hyperventilation can make you feel all of these terrible things that you are able to turn around. What it is that rebreathing is number one, slowing things down. But if that is truly incapable, if you are truly incapable of doing that, and not only that, but if you see someone who is having a lot of struggle with this, breathing into a paper bag can be very helpful. Of course, if you have another medical condition, treat that first. And at any point in time, if you have further issues, go to the emergency room. We're always there to help you 24/7. Some signs of hyperventilation we went through is those fear and kind of those out-of-body experiences sometimes. I don't think I got into that. But people often just are the most intense fear of their lives. And it's a very real thing. What you can do is use this technique, slow the breathing down, and then ultimately be able to see that battle within yourself, to acknowledge, accept, and act on it so that you can have that awareness, have that clarity, and start seeking more how you can feed that wolf inside of you that will bring you peace and lasting happiness. Okay, so that's it for Module 4. Here's the next steps. You'll need your course guidebook, your roadmap and checklist, your planner, your habit tracker, and your course workbook. Step 1 is to be sure you have completed the roadmap pages for each lesson. Step 2, same thing for the workbook. Step 3, practice and revisit your goals and track your progress to give you that motivation to continue. Next step, take any questions from the course and bring them to the community or the Q&A. Step 2 is to keep doing the journaling and celebrate your aha moments with friends. Keep practicing to multiply your returns. And then again, step 1, step 2, step 3, do the videos, do the workbooks, and practice, practice, practice. Bonus tip is to do this. Gather all of the materials from this course and keep them on a bookshelf. Keep them organized so that you're always able to revisit them. And that way you can keep them fresh in your mind whenever you want to practice. Don't do this. Don't go back to how you used to be with stress. You've made so many strides. You've learned so many different things, and you want to be able to use them. Take advantage of the time that you have spent, the money you've spent, and all of the work that you've done to change your relationship to stress. So definitely move forward. All done with the course. That was it. This is the module 4. So you can give yourself a medal. You can give yourself a pat on the back. I mean, huge congratulations to the completion of this course. I know it was a lot, and I really thank you for sticking with me through all of this. You've come a huge, huge way. You've come a very long way from where you started, and now you have all the tools necessary to face any challenge. Definitely look back and reflect on that new confidence that you have and the skills that you have for that ongoing transformation and that journey that you've been on. Here's a review of the lessons that you have completed. Leave any comments on the video below. Any questions, send them my way. Thank you for joining. And if you're interested in any one-on-one coaching, just shoot me an email and look to the Facebook group and group program and check out the monthly Q&As. So that's the end of the course. I'm so happy that you've stuck with me until this very, very end slide. And I wish you nothing but the best, fair winds, and following seas. Download the course materials at stressreleasesurvivalguide.com.